Protests erupts in Osun, Lagos, Edo as Nigeria Labour Congress prepares for the nationwide march despite government's pushback. Military and police authorities rescue 16 kidnapped victims in Kogi State following a joint operation. Lack of drinking water persists as Jos community cries for help. On the foreign scene, at least 15 killed in attack on a Catholic church in Burkina Faso. Hello there. Good evening and welcome to Trust TV's news update. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We'll begin with the protests across parts of the country as groups of activists under the aegis of Joint Action Force, Coalition for Revolution, Osun Civil Society Coalition, members of the Federal Federation of Informal Workers in Osun State and youths on Monday staged a peaceful protest against the rising cost of living in the country. They also fault the decision of the federal government to give proceeds of all subsidy removal to governors of the 36 states of the Federation. Speaking during a protest held by the groups in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, one of the conveners, Wahid Saka, said the protest was organized to prepare the ground for a bigger demonstration against the economic crisis ravaging the country. The protesters had converged at Freedom Park, Osogbo, from where they moved round the streets before they assembled under Olaiya Bridge, where they spoke to journalists. And early Monday morning, residents of Benin City, the capital of Edo State, heeded the call of the Edo civil society organizations to participate in a mass protest against the prevailing economic challenges in the country. Gathering at Ring Road, the heart of the city, Nigerians from all walks of life united in solidarity to voice their grievances. The protest, organized by the civil society organization, drew crowds who marched through major thoroughfares such as the Akpava and New Benin, eventually converging at Uselu Shell. Amidst chants and placards highlighting their demands, demonstrators occupied the area, amplifying their message of discontent with the current state of affairs in Nigeria. As the demonstrations continue to unfold, the resilience and determination of the people of Benin City serves as a reminder of their unwavering commitment to effecting positive change in the nation.
This country, not be for sale, not be for sale. It's Nigeria. Now our own. This country, not be for sale, not be for sale. This land, not be for sale.
In other labor-related matters, the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria has vowed to shut down the nation's seaport in line with the two-day nationwide strike called upon by the Nigeria Labour Congress. The NLC had at the weekend announced that its members and affiliate unions across the country are mobilizing for a two-day national protest beginning on February 27th to February 28th. It said the action follows the federal government's failure to implement all the agreements signed with the union back in October of 2023 after the expiration of the 14-day ultimatum issued. Rising from an emergency meeting held at its headquarters in Lagos, the leadership of the union says it would join the NLC to protest the current hardship and hunger ravaging Nigeria. The head of media of the union, John Kennedy, in a statement issued on Monday after the emergency meeting, says that if the federal government had honored the agreement and implemented it, it would have gone a long way to ameliorate the sufferings and hardship of the ill-conceived and ill-implemented policies brought upon Nigerian workers and citizens across the country. Elsewhere, despite mounting pressure and appeals for reconsideration, the Nigeria Labour Congress remains resolute in its decision to stage a protest on Tuesday and Wednesday this week. Union leaders have reiterated their commitment to take the streets as planned, citing the urgent need to draw attention to critical issues affecting workers and millions of Nigerians across the country. Jimmy Azande has more on this from Benue.
In conversations with Trust TV News in Makurdi, individuals from various sectors emphasize a common thread: the pervasive hardship affecting Nigerians regardless of their employment status. While acknowledging the diversity of workers' demands, spanning federal, state, local government and private sectors, participants underscore the overreaching impact of the current economic challenges.
So we are joining them because most of the things the National Secretariat has announced, they are right. The economic aspect of it is very, very crucial. Because today you go and buy something, and take for instance, you go and buy a cement at the rate of 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira. By the time you go back to buy it, it will be 20,000 naira. So we want the economy to be stable. We don't want an economy that is unstable. There's so many things can go wrong. So
the situation in the country is whatever you want to propose is even not adequate because things keep changing every day. So even if you are going to give a civil servant ₦1 million, you see that things will change so that by tomorrow or next you have a bag of rice and that's ₦1 million. So what is there is that people have to be conscious of what they are doing. Marketers, traders also should think that what they are selling should be commensurate, not just inflating the price because they say money has come.
Amid preparations for the forthcoming protests, there is optimism among participants that the two-day event will transpire peacefully. Notably, relevant security agencies in the state have been actively involved and briefed on schedule of activities. This collaborative approach between organizers and security agencies instills confidence in the peaceful conduct of the protests, fostering an environment conducive to effective expression of grievances.
As far as Nigeria is concerned, Labour is the only hope of workers, both civil servants and private workers. Labour is the only hope. Because if you look at what is happening in the country now, there's no way you ask Labour to stay back because you understand the situation and you know what's happening. No. If you actually know what's happening, why can't you know the solution to profit with that thing that's happening? I think Labour felt that this is the best way they can register their grievance and also let Gomo understand that this is something that they cannot afford to continue with. The situation is appalling. So we need to actually make things work out for Nigerians.
And so at this point in time, we are demanding for an immediate, as a matter of fact, an immediate alternative for this fuel subsidy removal. We thought Mr. President had plans in pipeline as he immediately removed fuel subsidy, that these plans could as well prompt out, as a matter of fact, to cushion the effect of the fuel subsidy. But from the look of things, 8 months down the stream, we have seen nothing. In fact, the hardship is continuous day by day, and so we feel there was no plan in the pipeline in the first place.
The Nigerian Labour Congress has directed its members across the country to protest against the hardships currently faced by Nigerians as a result of removal of fuel subsidy, inflation, and devaluation of the naira, despite pushbacks from the government on security. Jimmy Azande, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
Well, let's get some insight now into the plans of the Nigeria Labour Congress to move ahead with the planned two-day nationwide protest across the country. Join us on the program is the spokesperson of the NLC, the head of information and communication at the NLC headquarters in Abuja. Comrade Benson Opa is joining us this evening to add value to the conversation around the plans of the NLC to drive home its message to the government and the people of Nigeria. Comrade, as always, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us on the news update. First, let me just get your quick reaction, speaking on some of these developments. We understand that the TUC is not going to be a part of it. However, the NLC is moving ahead with this planned protest. Give me a sense of what Nigerians can expect, and also how unified is the Labour Congress in going ahead with this planned protest?
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. Yes, TUC is not going to be part of this action with us this time around, but we have the capacity and the will to forge ahead. As for our internal unity, it is intact. And as you know, we have no sectarian, we have no political motivations. we are always guided by patriotic sentiments, the national interest. That is what we are guided by.
Right. We've seen pockets of some of these protests, not one organized by the NLC, but one organized by people who believe that they are laying the grounds or setting the stage for the commencement of the two-day protest that is set to commence on Tuesday and Wednesday. Give me your reaction to what we've seen in Edo, what we've seen in Osun, in Osogbo, the state capital, and what we've also seen partly in Lagos today.
Well, thank you very much for that too. Well, that tells you of the growing consciousness of the Nigerian people and also their frustration with this administration. You see, these protests have been organic. They just came on their own because, I mean, the feeling has been unanimous. The person in Osogbo feeling the same way the person in Kano feels. I mean, the person, same thing in Mina, same thing, you know. So there is no ulterior motive to this. It simply tells you that the people have been pushed to the wall, and they are naturally going to react. You know, you must give something to the average Nigerian. The average Nigerian is a very accommodating person, okay? Very, very accommodating. But when you push them too far, they can not only back, I tell you, they can bite.
All right. And looking at where we are right now, the government has tried to push back on this planned protest. It has talked about it being in contravention of the court order, even though there are several other proponents that countered that argument. But in understanding the security situation that the DSS is talking about, give me an understanding of what they're telling you as the leadership of the NLC on why you shouldn't go ahead with this protest, as they said, quote unquote, in the national interest.
Well, I want to tell you this. First, we are not in violation of any court order. The Attorney General who pushed this agenda, with all due respect, he knows the truth. He knows that we are not in violation. Because of time constraint, I will not go into the details, but clearly he knows the truth. But of course, he has to, as a seasoned lawyer, as one who knows, the rules of the game, at the preliminaries, he has to, do something to buy time. But of course, we have told him no, and our no is our no. We are not in violation of any court order. That is by the way. As for the DSS, of course, the DSS top hierarchy will always tell you, do not protest, do not strike. That is going to put the national security in jeopardy. But we clearly know that it's government policies that are putting the nation in jeopardy, right. Putting the lives of the people in jeopardy, right. Putting our economic life in jeopardy. And because the government is doing the bidding of the World Bank and IMF, instead of doing the bidding of Nigerians. We've never seen a situation whereby a president will first yield to the demands of IMF and World Bank before yielding to the demands of his own people. Now the naira is 1,900 to the dollar. I have your paper here that says that at the World Bank and the IMF are still calling for more blood. They said the naira is still overvalued. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? I tell you this is personal to me, but I was an undergraduate student when the dollar was $1 to 50 kobo. Do you understand? So, for some of us personally, this is right. one long night.
Right.
Okay,
right.
It's been a story of endless tragedy for a nation of endless resources. Okay,
right.
So the DSS have had their say. We are going to have our way,
right?
Because the right to peaceful protest is enshrined in the Constitution, and nobody, no matter how highly placed, can abridge, the content of our Constitution.
Okay. Give me a sense of the scale, what you expect to happen in the next few days, and if the organized labor has put in parameters to ensure that these peaceful protests go on unhindered without any form of hitches that would perhaps derail the essence of this protest.
I tell you this, we have an illustrious history of peaceful protests. We've never been known to break a twig or to break a glass in the history of our protests. Even when we have situations of state-engineered violence, we still take control. We have our own code of conduct. We have our modus operandi. What many people do not know is that when we are marching, everybody owes it a duty to know the next 3-4 persons next to him or her. Even when security agencies, agents, come to mingle with us, where our stuff mix with us, we do recognize them, but we keep on going, so long as they do not go beyond coming to witness what we are doing.
Right.
Yes, so we have had that good history, and as I tell you, we stand to gain nothing if we put the security of this country in jeopardy. That is not our agenda.
Right. Okay.
Our agenda is to draw the attention of this government to the plight of the Nigerian people, and to say, look, your first commitment is to this country, is to the people of this country, and not the Americans, and not to the French people, and not to the British.
Okay. Comrade Ben Upa, we're going to have to leave it here for now, but the message is clear, isn't it? No going back as far as this 2-day nationwide strike is concerned.
We are committed.
Okay. Thank you so much for sparing the time, Comrade. Really appreciate you, and of course we'll be keeping track of some of the developments in the days to come as far as this protest is concerned, and even beyond. Thank you most kindly for your time on the news update.
It's my honor and pleasure. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Moving on to some of the day's other news stories now. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has fixed March 19 for ruling in the application filed by the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, seeking to be admitted into bail in the terrorism charges against him. Justice Binta Nyako on Monday adjourned the matter after Kanu's counsel moved the bail application, which was opposed by counsel to the federal government. Now, the bail application was filed following the resumption of the hearing in the 7 counts charges against Kanu as ordered by the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Kanu's contention is mainly that he could not put up a good defense unless admitted to bail to have unfettered access to his lawyers. He also claimed to be suffering from acute hypertension and acute heart disease, among other ailments. The federal government, however, objected to the grounds that Kanu was once granted bail but jumped and fled the country. The federal government asserted that all bail conditions set by the court were breached and violated, and pleaded with the court to dismiss the request. The military and police authorities have rescued 16 kidnapped victims in Kogi State following a joint operation. The Kogi State Police Command spokesperson William Ovie said 11 of the victims were abducted from a peace mass transit bus, while 5 were abducted from a Sienna bus along Ete Enugu Ezike Road and taken to the bush on the 25th of November this year. Ovie said following the kidnap incident, the joint Kogi police and military team from Enugu State promptly swung into action and trailed and rescued all the victims unhurt. He added that the efforts are ongoing to apprehend the suspects and bring them to justice. Meanwhile, the Kogi State Police Commissioner has assured the command's resolve to continue the fight against criminals and called on residents of the state to work with security agencies to ensure the safety of lives and property. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Still to come. Lack of drinking water persists as Jos community cries for help. More news stories coming up ahead after the break. Welcome back to the news and thank you very much for staying with us. Let's take another look at the top stories. Protests across Edo, Lagos and Osun State as NLC goes ahead with plans for nationwide protest. Police and military operatives rescue 16 kidnapped victims in Kogi State in a joint operation. Residents of Zinaria community in Jos North local government area of Plateau State have expressed concern over the lack of drinking water in the area. According to residents of the community, several calls have been made over the past decade to the state government for an intervention in the provision of potable drinking water, all to no avail. Ado Musa tells us more.
This is Zinaria community, strategically situated on the hill of Zinaria. It has been facing water scarcity for many years, with children often trekking down the hill in search of water for their families. Due to the challenging terrain of the area, water vendors always struggle to reach their customers. Residents of the area have vowed to remain persistent in appealing to the relevant government authorities to come to their aid, despite having made several calls in the past. Lack of drinking water is one of our major problems in this area. That is, other social amenities aside. Without water, you cannot enjoy life. We have to trek far distances to get water. Water vendors are not always available because they find it difficult to get to the community due to the terrain. During every election period, you see people coming to seek our votes, but they rarely come to provide these essential amenities, especially water. In some cases, when we send our children downhill to fetch water, they don't always succeed. We are calling on the government to help us. Khalid Musa, a water vendor, explained that they are finding it difficult to deliver water to their customers on the hill. Delivering water to customers has been our major challenge because of the nature of the area. We suffer a lot before getting to them. Because of the difficulties, we charge them higher than what we charge other customers down the hill. We charge them 1,000 naira instead of 400 or 500 naira. Yusuf Ibrahim, a community leader, lamented the lack of water in the area. As a leader, I don't know how many times we are expected to appeal to the government to provide us with drinking water before they respond. We always present our demands to politicians before, during and after election, but they don't always respond. It has been difficult for us. Residents of the community who are voicing their concern over the pervasive issue of water scarcity plaguing the area are calling on the government to come to their aid. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Now, the Ministerial Conference of the World Trade Organization on Monday kicked off with discussions such as banning subsidies, contributing to overfishing and digital taxation against the backdrop of instability, as well as the uneven recovery from the pandemic. The outcome of the deliberations of the World Trade Organization's topmost decision-making body will be closely monitored by governments across the country, across the globe. Now, Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala warned of the daunting task ahead. The outcome of these deliberations and elections are set to significantly influence the trajectory of the World Trade Organization and the global economy, underscoring the importance of proactive and collaborative efforts to navigate the challenges that lie ahead. Now, the biennial meeting will end on February 29th in the United Arab Emirates. Now, at least 15 Catholic worshippers have been killed in Burkina Faso in a village when gunmen attacked a community as they gathered for mass at a church in the country's conflict-hit northern region. A statement by the Vicar General of the Catholic Diocese of Dori, where the attack happened, Abbot Jean-Pierre Sawadogo, says Sunday's violence in the village of Esankane was a terrorist attack that left 12 attendees dead at the scene, while 3 others died later as they were being treated for wounds. Now, there was no immediate claim for responsibility of the shooting. The shooting took place in a region where armed groups have carried out several attacks, some of which have targeted Christian churches, while others have involved the abduction of clergy. About half of Burkina Faso is outside government control. As armed forces have ravaged the country for years, fighters have killed thousands and displaced more than 2 million people, further threatening the stability of the nation, which experienced 2 military coups in 2022. Well, that's it. You're up to date with the latest news stories at this hour. Thank you most kindly for joining us. As always, we encourage you to follow us across our social media platforms to catch up with more news contents and documentaries. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time. We'll see you soon.